He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
I think that just worked. It looks like we are live on YouTube. Couple minutes late. Had to do a pre-production meeting here on the Broadway Shuffle, but with Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler, I am Brennan. If you are listening live, 7:30 Sunday night, tuning in fresh off a Texas Tech victory over the West Virginia Mountaineers, 49-0, clinching a spot for the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the Big 12 championship game this Saturday morning, 11 a.m., December 6th, against the BYU Cougars, a team you have faced. But, gentlemen, this is a championship berth 30 years in the making. First time in our lifetime that we've seen anything like this. I know, depending on your age, don't want to guess too much about our viewership age, but you might have seen some Southwest Conference success or something like that. But, man, what a weekend for Texas Tech football. What an opportunity. We're going to get into so much tonight about what this means for Texas Tech, what this looks like for the opportunity in front of you, and also crazy week in rivalry week. So we'll get into the Lane Kiffin fiasco, all of this stuff. Kim Coulter's in the chat saying aloha from Hawaii. Hello, Kim. Yeah, well, it'll be Q&A as well, too. We'll answer your questions. It's going to be a fun, interactive show. We had to celebrate this opportunity with our shufflers. So, gentlemen, how are you doing on this Sunday night?
Man, doing good. It feels great to be a member of an esteemed community that has played for a conference championship in this millennia. There's only one FBS program in the state of Texas that hasn't done so yet. It would be a real shame if we outed the Texas Aggies for have never played in a conference championship game post 2000. So feels great to not be in that club anymore. It used to just be you and the Aggies, and we're no longer in that club. So feels good.
Clay, man, you know, I don't know, like, what'd you do when you saw Texas Tech clinch the Big 12 title berth?
Oh man, I sat there and reflected a minute of Zyler's text that he was sending through of all the bad moments that have happened really over the last 10 years, and then I went to bed. Part of me does wish that we clinched it with the end of our game and not another game, because I feel like it would have been a little more euphoric, but I guess it was just a little anticlimactic, but I'll take it any way I can get it. And yes, it does feel good that, you know, even on A&M's best season in the last 30 years, they're still looking up at us. And Texas, still little brother. So that feels really good.
Still little brother. Conrad, how do you feel about that, man? The other Texas schools can't compete with the Red Raiders in 2025.
Yeah, it's really nice in this new era of college football to be on top of the state in terms of, you know, wins and everything. I mean, it's just... It feels like a dream in a lot of ways, right, guys? I mean, it's something that we thought could happen. We knew there was a possibility, but for it actually to happen, I'll be honest, it still didn't even feel real in a way. Like it still feels where it's like, did this really happen this year? And it's crazy that the regular season ended yesterday. That's just wild. So I don't know. It's an interesting time, but it's a good time to be a Red Raider. And sorry to be an Aggie. That's kind of what happens.
Sorry to be an Aggie. Well, man, there's so much for us to get into, obviously. We want to talk about the West Virginia game as well. Texas Tech 49-0 against the Mountaineers on Saturday. What this means, too. But it just felt like this was a stamp on what the season was. Going 11-1, your first time with 11 wins since 2008. And now you are playing in the Big 12 championship. That year, back in which was at the time your greatest season ever in the Big 12, you didn't even get to play in the Big 12 championship due to tiebreakers. We don't have to worry about that this year. So, Z, I mean, just the game itself, it felt like a coronation in the way. I know the job's not finished, but for this moment of what the regular season did for you, it just felt like that is exactly how you should have won that game.
Yeah, I thought it was a really neat and defining moment, and it wasn't fluky. The nice thing about dominating a game like that is that you don't have people talking about, oh, well, they got lucky, they backdoored their way into a title. No, you went out and skunked the team. First time you've done it on the road in a really long time. You're the first defense. This is per the Gambling Gauchos, but you're the first team in the Big 12 Conference to hold your opponents to 100 or fewer points over the course of a season. So really, really impressive work. You've been the best team in the conference all season. You've proven that on the field. It's been largely unmarred. You're one of the first teams in Big 12 history to win 11 games by 20 plus or more. Just an unbelievably dominant run through the conference. And I hope that we take the time here to properly celebrate and champion this team, because, we're only guaranteed, I think 2 more games, but hopefully more than that. So, a lot of fun, really excited for the team, and it's a really neat moment. I texted Brennan, and I stayed up for probably 2.5 hours after the Arizona State game because I was too amped. I was doing all sorts of stuff, but firing off tweets, doing all sorts of things. But just really cool moment for West Texas, for Texas Tech, and for this football team.
Yeah, Conrad, we talk a lot about this on this show, and just the fact that you actually met the moment in 2025. You got to the place that you set your goal to be, to play in Arlington, but then go win the Big 12 championship, and you have that. And I think a lot of people are seeing the BYU team and going, well, you smacked them at home, you're going to automatically win on Saturday. It's a coronation. You're going to get a first round bye. And all those things may be true, but just to sit in this moment, the fact that we're actually going to see the tweet, like Texas Tech clinched a spot in Arlington, felt surreal. It almost doesn't still feel real in a way that we're going to be seeing Big 12 championship 11 a.m. and your name is going to be in the end zone. It just feels like, are we actually experiencing this? A little bit like 2019 Final Four, the basketball team, but this is something that we need to just soak in and realize you actually accomplished something here.
Yeah, you did. And I think it's, I remember we were at that game last year with Arizona State and Iowa State. I remember looking to you and I was like, we're going to be here. We're going to be here next year. Like, this is going to be, the portal hall hadn't really fully, it hadn't fully come together yet, but it was one of those things where I was just like, man, I have a feeling we're going to be here. And it's something that you don't, again, let's be honest about our history. Zyler sent us that long list of things that we've experienced. We have never been here before. And this fan base deserves to be here. This fan base has earned the right to be here, and this team has earned the right to be here. And so I think it'll be, what you're going to see on Saturday is a celebration of sorts. We saw that, I think, a little bit against BYU the first time, just with game day back, with Mahomes back, with everything that happened back in Lubbock. But I think Saturday is going to be unique because you're going to be at Jerry World, a place you haven't played since maybe 2017, 2018. I can't remember when the Baylor series ended there, which we have to talk Baylor Bears. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun times for Texas Tech Red Raiders, especially.
That's the R-rated section of the podcast.
You have to stay all the way to the end for that. That may be 11 p.m. But
Tommy Tuberville time, man.
That's just something that it's just surreal. It's just something that it's really hard to put into words. And we podcast for not a living, but a decent. We do it a time or two a week, and for us to just be absolutely in awe and in shock a little bit that this is the moment really speaks to Joey, this team, this university, and everything that's been achieved so far this year.
Clayton, and one thought I had too, with all the craziness going around with Lane Kiffin, all of these coaches getting fired, Penn State, Auburn, Arkansas. Arkansas's got fans boycotting their hire outside of their stadium. Florida. There's all these big programs, Oklahoma State within the conference, that are struggling, that are having to get new coaches, figure all this out. And you're able to kind of take all of that you're usually in those moments. Matt Wells was just 4 years ago. And here you are getting to be who exactly? But here you are getting to kind of just take over the scene, especially within the Big 12 conference. You're used to being the school that's dealing with a lot, and you just took care of business in 2025. It makes it feel even better, in my opinion, that you're seeing all these other schools struggle and have a ton of chaos, and you're sitting there just beating teams by 30 points every week.
Yeah, it's been a very stress-free year. And you're exactly right. Thank God we got our football program together at the time that we did, because right now, there are so many programs that are scrambling. You mentioned Arkansas. That has been hilarious. The fact that Memphis fans wanted him fired, and then, an SEC school takes him off their hands. Like, there's definitely another reality where Tech never got their act together, and we are one of these schools that's like scrambling or hiring, another G5 coach, which nothing against those, they could be good, but I'd much rather be in our position right now. Even like looking around the state, TCU made the national championship game. What was that, 3 years ago? And they're probably, what are they, like the 6th or 7th best program in Texas right now. So it feels good that we're not one of these programs that's like, trying to jump off the sinking ship.
Yeah, and Z, I'm looking at the chat. I just got a text. Are y'all going to answer any of these questions or what? So yeah, we're looking at the chat, but we still got to talk a little bit too at Mason Gardner. But we appreciate you listening. But Mason did ask, who has broken the most drivers on a tree? that would be Conrad Mills.
That
For sure.
that happened once in my life, and I'm still embarrassed about it. That's all we're gonna say about that, Mason. We're gonna move on to the next question. I did see a question. Is Conrad still a big Lane Kiffin fan? What constitutes a big Lane Kiffin fan? I do like Lane Kiffin. I do think that he made the right decision, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But I am a supporter of Lane Kiffin, and Ole Miss will be sorry to see him go, as we know. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, so we'll get to all the questions outside of Texas Tech a little bit later. We are watching them as well too. Someone said the Hulk on the number 18. Memories that are too good, but
don't buy a Sim 2 Max. Nobody buy a Sim 2 Max. It's not going to work for you. It's going to go left. It's going to go right. It's never going to go straight. TaylorMade is all a marketing ploy.
And then the head will end up at the base of a tree. So, but this really is so exciting, Zyler, to talk to, because we're prepping now for a game that you've seen on the field. And I think there's something to be said for that. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the injuries, things we saw on Saturday. Touch on that first, and then we'll move into a little bit more looking forward to what this week means.
Yeah, one of the things that's been tough, Brennan, when we preview, especially like UCF, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, not to lump all those teams in the same school, when you do the preview and you look at the numbers, it's like, dude, objectively, you can't even come in here and say, like, watch out for this, watch out for this. Like, you just knew you were going to steamroll these teams. And I never want it to be like overly optimistic and just like kind of Red Raider glasses. This team's terrible. But West Virginia just didn't have a chance. I mean, you saw the stuff they were trying to do. It was just not working really at any level. I thought, thankfully, it seems like he got out of there pretty injury free. Maybe some questions on David Bailey, but I think he's fine. We should be good there.
Did he tell you that?
No, David did not. He didn't return my texts or my calls. But I anticipate him being able to go. I just don't trust Joey on injury stuff. Like, Joey will be like, yeah, I think Barron's all right. And it's like, oh, no. He's actually going to sit the next 3. Like, I don't trust what Joey does up there. Nothing against him. I get why he does that. The other thing, I thought the Micah Hudson appearance, very cool, very fun. Glad for him to, show off a little bit. Hopefully he's a really big part of our team next year. And then what I thought was even more important was the way that the team was celebrating him after that. Most of those guys were on the team last year and went through the Micah's arrival, Micah's kind of injury, Micah's disappearance, and his eventual transfer, and then his return to the team. And to see them kind of embrace him on the sidelines after that gave me kind of the warm and fuzzies, and I think that's a really cool, underrated story. So those are kind of my takeaways from the game. Total butt kicking.
Yeah, the Lloyd Jones to Micah Hudson connection looks very nice in the future, Conrad. But we've been big Micah fans on the show. If you've been a shuffler for a long time and have subscribed, you know that we've not once ever said anything negative about Micah Hudson here. It's always been full positivity, right? So to see him succeed was great.
Yeah, it's getting a 5-star. He was our first 5-star. Now we get those on the regular, but no, it was just the redemption story. I mean, even when he came back from A&M, which looks like he made the right choice there because he's going to be playing in a conference championship game with us that he won't with A&M, which I'll leave my thoughts on Marcel Reed for later. But just seeing the team embrace him, like Zyler said, it speaks to what Joey has said about this team all year. Their superpowers, how much they love each other. It's not the talent. It's not all those things. I mean, those things are great, and they're real, and they're the reason you've won a lot of games. But it's obvious to see how this team cares about each other, how they celebrate each other, and it would have been really easy. And it speaks to Barron and J-Rod and all those guys too. They could have been like, "No, coach, we don't want this guy back. Were you not here last year? Like, do you not remember all the stuff that happened?" And now for him to be back and scoring 2 touchdowns, it's just it's really, really cool to see for the fan base, but also for the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. When Clay, I mean, let's talk about Barron Morton a little bit too. Dude looked good. I mean, I know you're playing West Virginia and you can talk about the opponent, but there was some zip on the throws, one over the middle to Douglas. Some of the deep balls he did throw, I mean, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and 2.5 and change in quarters. What I've seen out of Barron in the last 2 weeks gives me a lot of confidence that, okay, you can go beat an Oregon, you can beat an OU, you could win a or a quarterfinal game with this. Like, you need Barron to stay upright. It wasn't great to see Mitch limp off the field and have to see Lloyd come in, but with Barron being able to play and stay healthy, it does add a level to the offense that I was extremely anxious for after hearing the news that, man, he's got pretty much a broken leg. Your thoughts on Barron's performance this weekend?
Yeah, completely agree. I think after the BYU game, I was definitely getting a little worried about the outlook of him for the rest of the season. I felt like our defense, could carry us through the Big 12 championship, even if Barron was limited. But, you get into a playoff setting, it's going to be hard to beat a team if your QB is like severely limited. But the way he's looked since that game, I feel like he's looked a lot healthier. He's just playing like clean football. I think he only has 4 picks on the year, which, any of us would sign up for at the beginning of the year if you gave us that stat line. So I think he's really matured. And I think he can take us where we need to go. Like, I'm not going to say he's going to, just put the team on his back and like go beat Ohio State. But I think, if the surrounding players play to their potential, like Barron is not going to hold us back from winning games in the playoffs, which is really all you can ask for.
Brennan, I'm going to jump in real quick for the individual that donated money in the stream. If you throw some dollars in there, your question's going to get answered immediately. Trubeck said every time Lane is mentioned, Zyler's angry forehead vein comes out. Cannot wait for the rant. Just a little preview. If you want something read immediately, that's the way to get it done. But yeah, Clayton, great point. I thought it was Barron's best game of the season, and he did it in 2.5. I mean, excellent. He's going to lead the Big 12 in completion percentage, I think yards per attempt, and quarterback efficiency rating. Sign me up for that.
Is it too late to launch the Barron for Heisman campaign? Has that ship sailed?
It has.
Might be a bit too
late. We gotta put all of our reresources into the Jacob Rodriguez Heisman campaign, and Tech tried.
Jacob got another interception.
Yeah.
He's up to 5 on the year.
Just switch the stat line on how that interception happened. It'll be great. Yeah. But and by the way, I know there was I saw a lot of tweets and people on that. I didn't care about that play. Like, you're up 4 touchdowns. Have him throw. I know, Clay, you had a different opinion. You thought, like, let's stop being cute. Let's just run it and score a touchdown. But I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, let's try to get him as much as we can. So there's a ton of Lane Kiffin stuff going on in the chat. But hold off 5-10 minutes, because we've got a couple more things we're going to get to before we get to Lane Kiffin and the college football playoff. But yes, a wild, wild day in the coaching carousel in college football. We'll talk to that. And Shufflers, we assume most of you guys have been here for a while, but if it's your first time, it's totally free to subscribe. It's totally free to like a video. It's totally free to share it with your friends. We don't ask anything of you than to subscribe. It just helps us continue to grow the show, but we appreciate all of you that already are subscribed and enjoying us. But it's totally free. Just subscribe. You'll get all of our content moving forward, and we appreciate it. So let's get to some overreactions or realities. And this is something that I'm excited for. One thing I did want to touch on, too, with this is that the first question I am going to ask is about an SEC team. So expect Conrad to have a soapbox here. But we're going to focus on the Texas Longhorns, because this does relate to Texas Tech. By Texas knocking off A&M, it gives you a front row seat to a bye if you do beat BYU this weekend. So first question I do have, though, is there might be one spot open, Conrad. Texas should be...
I'm not answering this first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be this sacrificial lamb where you just dangle me out and you say, "Hey,
I'm
Clayton,
dangling
Zyler,
you, baby.
Go after him." I'm not answering it. Zyler, what's your thought?
First question. I didn't even get to finish the question.
Well, I can read the document.
Overreaction or reality? I'll go to you first, Z. Conrad will have to answer. Texas should be in the playoff.
No. So I think the scenario where Texas could have maybe squeezed in is like if Ole Miss lost and Bama lost and
Oklahoma
lost, maybe there opens up some room for them. It's just, the thing is not whether should I be included, it's who am I bumping out? Like, who am I more worthy than? That's never the thing. It's something that people always forget, and it happens at tournament time too. It's like, well, I have this many wins, blah, blah, blah. So who are you better than that should be getting left out over you? Like, I guess maybe they would have had a case over OU if OU would have lost. I think that would have been really, really clear. But do you have a better case than, Miami or Notre Dame or BYU? Like, I just don't think so. They beat Vanderbilt, but that team's ahead of them. Like, the committee's already told you that they think Vanderbilt has a better resume, and then Vanderbilt won. So how would Texas do enough to pass them? I don't think the resume is strong enough. That loss to Florida really, really hurt them. And then the performances. This committee watches the games, and that's probably a bad thing. They should look at the numbers more. The way that they performed against Mississippi State and the way that they performed against Kentucky, I think really, really hurt them from a perception standpoint. They have the top end ceiling to be a national title, but they just did not play consistently this year. So that's kind of where I land there.
Well, in Clayton, there's just not enough spots with everyone that won in this last weekend. Z mentioned Alabama, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. There's no really room for debate here. Miami wins by 30 points +2. So this just seems like a lot. It seems like ESPN's pumping this. Sarkisian obviously came out with the comment of like, it would be a disservice to the sport. Please, like, give me a break here. And then Herb Street's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. But your thoughts on Texas? Is there any legitimacy come Tuesday night that you think they're going to put this team at, maybe they'll slot them above Utah and Miami, put them at 12, and just give them a little bit of hope going into conference championship week?
I do think they'll be above Utah, and honestly, I don't really have a problem with that, the way Utah's looked and like the resume. But no, they should not be in the playoff. And I think the funniest part about this is like the major talking point from Texas fans is if they had just scheduled like Rice instead of Ohio State, they would be in the playoff. As if like, that is like the reason for not scheduling these tough games. But Miami scheduled Notre Dame and beat them. And like, they're not in the playoff. Like, you can schedule these. It's a risk reward thing. Like, if you beat them, you get credit. And even if you lose, there's a reason that Texas is going to be the highest ranked 3-loss team. Like, it kept them in it. So I guess, as a Texas fan, if you want to complain about the Ohio State loss being the reason you're not in the playoff, be my guest. But it's really, the Florida loss and Zyler's point about the Mississippi State and Kentucky games. I do think that if they had like blown out everyone, even with the loss to Florida, they might have more of an argument, but they just haven't looked like a playoff team for most of the year. So no, I don't think they should be in the playoff.
Okay, Conrad, that leaves you. That we've given the floor to everyone else. You get to go.
This is such a, I think everybody has their own opinions on how the committee does things, how the committee should do things, shouldn't do things, whatever. I mean, there's so many different things. I don't think Texas should be in the playoff, but I don't think acting like they're this bad team at this point in the year, like a lot of people online are doing, is the wisest take. Texas lost to Florida. Yes, they went to the Swamp and lost. They did not play well. Yes, we know the Kentucky. Yes, we know the Mississippi State, all that stuff. And there are other deserving teams above them. But to act like this team isn't at least at this point in the year, playing really well, beating the number 3 ranked Texas A&M Aggies at home, I mean, that's still a good win. They do have good wins, losing to Ohio State by 7 first game of the year. I mean, all those things considered, like, this is a playoff caliber team, but that doesn't mean they should be in the playoffs, if that makes sense. I think there are two different ways of looking at it and talking about it that I think both sides of this debate could be like, yeah, I see where the other's coming from. But at the same time, you're not going to get a 3-loss team that lost to Florida, firing their coach in the playoffs. But at the same time, I do think they are, if right now, if Texas is playing Miami, I'm taking Texas. If Texas is playing Utah, I'm taking Texas. Like, Texas is playing at a better. If Texas is playing Notre Dame right now, I think there's a very real shot they win that game. So it's a lot of those things that right now how they're playing is not indicative of their whole body of work. But what gets you in the playoff? It's the whole body of work. And so based on that, they don't deserve to be in, but they are playing at a level later in the year that's much better than they were earlier in the year. So hopefully that's a fair way to look at things, but maybe not.
I think they played at that level for one game. They got ran off the field by Georgia. I mean, Georgia Tech looked better versus Georgia than Texas did just last week.
I think that Georgia game was a little bit closer than the score indicated, but that's a much longer conversation than we have room for.
No way. They got crushed. Okay, we're going to play a game.
That is the sentiment of people online, too, not just me.
That's the sentiment of people that don't know what they're talking about. Not you, Conrad. You know what you're talking about, but people online don't know.
Okay, all right. Well,
okay, we're going to play a game. Who would be favored on a neutral? Iowa or Texas?
Is this a trick question? Do I say the Iowa Hawkeyes?
The Iowa Hawkeyes would be favored by 3 points against the Longhorns.
That's not.
Washington,
Where are you getting that? That is. No one thinks that's serious. That's not
the
serious.
most reputable predictive metric out there. It's SP plus. Let's just do another one.
Let us know in the comments. Do you think that's legitimate?
North Texas or the Texas Longhorns? Who would be favored on a neutral?
Drew Messamaker and Eric Morris, baby. They're cooking
No.
Texas on a neutral field.
North Texas would be favored by 3 points against the Longhorns.
No.
We'll-
That's just
we'll
that
do-
would
we'll
not
do a
actually
final
happen.
Final one. Penn State. Would they be favored over Texas on a neutral?
I'm going to go 3-0. Z, this is the easiest test I've ever taken in my life. I'm going to say Penn State would be favored.
They would be. All right. The final one. USF or Texas?
USF.
Give me the Bulls.
They would not be favored. It would be a pick 'em on a neutral.
You tricked me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Conrad, you look hurt, man.
I'm
Conrad
not hurt. I
football
just think
taking
that's
those.
bad. That's no one. If you put that out, let us know in the comments. There's no one that's picking those other teams against the, like, if they're playing tomorrow in a week. That's not how people are going to look at the Texas Longhorns right now against those other teams.
And I
that's
think
just
you may
not
be right. Arch is playing
Like
a lot better, and the ceiling at Texas is incredibly high. And I think I know that we said all that, and it's meant to be informative, but Texas has an incredibly high ceiling, like top 5 team in the country ceiling. They just don't. They've hit it once this year.
Yeah, and that's why they won't make the playoffs. So, okay, we're going to go overreaction on that. So, second question I have for you, let's shift back to Texas Tech. Texas Tech can win a national championship. Overreaction or reality? Someone.
Reality.
Conrad,
I'll go first.
No, make Conrad go first this
Okay,
time.
Conrad, you go first.
Conrad, we let Conrad off the hook last time.
I'm still getting Mr. Root. He said, noted Longhorn fan Conrad is fuming. I'm not fuming. I respect a good football team playing like it late in the year, and that's what they are. It doesn't matter if they have a Longhorn on their helmet or an Aggie on their helmet or even an OU on their helmet. So, which OU's not a good football team, just to throw that out there.
Agreed.
Texas Tech can win a national championship. I'm going to say reality, and I'm going to say it's like we mentioned earlier. Barron's not going to lose you a game. He's playing well. He looked healthy to me. I mean, I don't know how healthy you can get from a fracture in your leg, but he looked okay to me. Maybe he was locked up in one of those healing beds. I think he would not lose you games. I'm not sure he could go win you a game against Georgia, but it wouldn't shock me at all. But the real reason you can win national championship is because the 85 Bears are playing defense for Texas Tech. So I'll say reality.
Yeah, I think you could. I think you would need, in my mind, I think you would need somebody else to beat Ohio State. They just look really good. They just don't have a lot of weaknesses. And Conrad's point about Barron, and I think there was someone talking in the comments earlier, T2 Wise just had some Barron comments, and it's kind of spot on with what we've said. Like, Barron has done the game manager role exceptionally well this year. Like, hasn't really thrown interceptions, can make most of the throws. The only thing is that he takes sacks sometimes that I think he shouldn't, but he's done really well. He's improved on all the areas of his game that he's really good at, and they've found ways to kind of minimize the thing that he's not good at. And I think that's a real credit to Leftwich and how they've schemed up the offense this year. I think your defense will give you a chance in every single game that you play. I think if the cards fell right, I think you could. Do I think you'll be top 5 in the odds? No. But if you get a bye, I mean, you'll have a shot. I'm not going to make you a favorite. I'm not going to say that, but I think you could. And yeah, I think that's reasonable.
All right, that's 2 realities. Clay?
Yeah, I'm going reality as well. I mean, I think it is because of the defense. If you have a top 2 or 3 unit, especially the defense, I feel like you have to be a national champion favorite. And I agree with Zyler that that does, in my mind, require Ohio State to either not play up to their potential or someone else to beat them. But I pretty much feel the same way about every other team. Like, there are a few teams that I feel like can beat Ohio State if Ohio State plays their A game. And so I feel like every team has that same caveat. But I mean, you look at Oregon, Ole Miss, who else is going to be in the playoff? Georgia, Bama. I feel as good about Tech's chances beating those teams than anyone else.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the funny thing is shifting we haven't had a game with less than like a 10-point spread since the Arizona State game back in October. Like, and the next game we play will probably be in January. Let's say you make the playoffs and it'll be less than a 10-point spread with whoever you play. That's going to be weird to be in a dogfight again, like a game that's a real game in the third and fourth quarter. We haven't had to deal with that since with some of the Kansas State game and then the Arizona State. Like, it's just been a while. I'm not in game shape. I haven't had to fire off rage tweets in the fourth quarter in a long time. That's going to be interesting. I'm gonna feel like we're not playing well. Be like, oh no, you're just actually playing like top 5, top 8 teams, and that's going to be strange.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing
Are
I
you
feel
saying
like
that
too,
the Big 12 isn't a good conference either?
No. You are just that much better. You are a top 3 team in the country, I think, predictively.
I would agree. I would agree with that. And that's, I think, the only team that I've seen right now, based off watching multiple of the games of these top teams the last few weeks, the only team that I think you'd lose just straight up to is Ohio State. I do think that Ohio State just has, they don't really have a hole. Like, there's Ohio State. I've seen some of these comments on the right side and Conrad laughing, so I'm trying to finish my thought. But Carson Mazzell, we see you, man. We don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, but we see you. I'll let you know that. There's Ohio State, who's somewhere in between like the NFL and college football. It looks like in my mind, like that's them. And then there's a couple other teams, and you could very well compete and beat those couple other teams. But that's not to say that Ohio State's not beatable. They just look to me like they have the most talent across the board at pretty much every position. But if you get the 3 seed, so if you get the 3 seed, for example, you talked about buys. Let's say you win on Saturday, you get the 3, and then you get to host the 6 or 11, which at this point looks like it could be Ole Miss without their head coach and potentially North Texas or James Madison. That's your semifinal matchup, potentially in Dallas. I have a lot of confidence you're going to win that game. And then you get the 2 seed, would be Indiana potentially, or maybe Georgia. I would have a lot of confidence in either the Peach Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl that you could win that game. So there's a path, a realistic path to me, where you kind of get a team that is without their head coach or a group of 5 in a quarterfinal game. Then Ohio State, meanwhile, would probably get the winner of Notre Dame or OU or Notre Dame or Oregon or something. So, it's there. And so I'm going to say reality, because I think there is a path where you could get to the national championship game and hope some other things fall your way. That's something that's possible. So yeah. I am very interested in how this weekend and what the committee does on Tuesday night, because it'll give us indication on where we could be come Saturday afternoon if you win, obviously. So we'll see what happens. A lot of football left, but it's possible.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out Kim Coulter. He's eating his words and taking his medicine for doubting me. I appreciate it.
He said Zyler will say no.
I come through about once every 20 episodes for Kim, so thanks for believing in me. And we got some good stuff. Some people out in Denver talking. Tanner had an interesting question. If you were the 4 seed, would you rather play Oregon, Ole Miss, or A&M in the Cotton Bowl? I think that's an easy one for me. I would love to see the Aggies. That would be an incredible atmosphere.
Though Aggies in Dallas would scare me a little bit. Just the fact that you don't really have the home field there. You get it against the other. Well, Ole Miss and Oregon, you would have heavily fandom. I don't know that with A&M.
It would just the Marcel Reed 3 interception game would. I would wake up in the morning and I would just watch the highlights from the game. It would be the best. I think you would terrify Marcel.
Well, and what would be, what would be amazing is if, we threw a number 14 on offense out there at cornerback and he picked him off because, that would be very, very fitting, fitting from what we know.
When Micah and Marcel get in a fight, Conrad, do you think we'd have any unsportsmanlike conducts there?
I think Micah would probably score a 95-yard touchdown and run right by the A&M bench and just say peace to all of his former teammates for about 2 weeks.
Is Marcel Reed a captain at A&M? Because if so, we should 100% send out Micah Hudson as the team captain if we play.
Honestly, that environment, I'm not trying to say, don't hear me saying, that would probably be A&M Tech in the semifinals in Jerry World would probably be the craziest sporting environment.
Quarterfinals, but
quarterfinals
still, yeah.
I wouldn't even be thinking about I mean, you'd obviously want to win the game, and I think you could win that game because I don't think Marcel Reed has seen a defense like us because he did play the bottom of the SEC schedule, and none of those teams, even being in the SEC, have a defense like us. I think he would I think we'd hold them to what, 7-10 points, something like that. And that would just be an amazing, because it would be sold out. I mean, that place will be sold out. I think it's going to be sold out on Saturday, but that would be an electric atmosphere if that did happen.
Random thought. This was something I did want to get into. I think the Big 12 title attendance record was OU and UT. It's like 86,000 something people in Jerry World. Do you think we get close to that? Do you think we beat it this Saturday?
Dude, you could. BYU travels like this is not. We were at the game last year and we sat in section like 115, and there was an entire row to ourselves
in plural.
Rows, plural. Arizona State, Iowa State, don't travel very well. BYU, dude, they travel. Like they're everywhere, and they just pop out of holes you don't expect them to. It's like, oh, there's a blue and white T-shirt, And so I love it. I'm like, what are all these people doing here? And so
I respect
it's a great fan base. I respect
they're
their
all
fan
nice
base.
too.
All great people. Yeah, great people. And it's going to be, I think they're going to bring a ton and a ton of energy into AT&T Stadium. But obviously Texas Tech has been building and building and building for 30 plus years, longer for some. It's going to be crazy. I could see this getting close to 100,000 people. I would not be shocked. I really would not be shocked.
I'll be disappointed if it's less than 60. I'm kind of thinking it'll be like 70 something thousand. And tickets are expensive.
Tickets. I think. I think it's gonna be more than that. 60 to between 60 and 70. I don't know.
It's just I don't know. I hope to be disappointed. We'll see.
You don't want to be disappointed, man. You want to be in a. You don't want to be disappointed. Why would you hope to be disappointed?
We're gonna win the game. We're gonna win the game. I'm just imagining like I walk into Jerry World, and it's like I open the doors and I walk in, and there's just so much red and black that it's just overwhelming. And I know it's not going to be like that, but that's what I have in my mind. And
why would it not be like that?
I think there's going to be a lot of BYU fans there. I think they will have a huge contingent.
I agree. I do agree.
I don't think
Zyler, you're on mute.
Zyler, you muted.
Zyler, you muted yourself.
I don't think you'll have like 80% of the stadium. I think you'll have
I agree.
At best like 60.
Yeah, 60 tops.
Dude, I don't know, man. Red Raiders are crazy, and we have surely not had any success whatsoever on the football field in recent memory. So I don't know. I feel like this is a sell your house kind of game to get in the doors if you have to.
The thing is, though, is that what if you sell your house to this one and then you play A&M in 4 weeks? What are you selling then? Like what? You got to go back. You got to get your boat. You got
your driver.
your TaylorMade Sim 2 Max.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a huge. And let us know. I see some people have bought their tickets in the side, and so we'll see. I know Conrad will all obviously be there as well too, and so it's going to be a ton of fun, man, that week. But BYU, let's just talk about that briefly, then we'll get to the national stuff and our Tommy Tubervilles as well. But more nervous, more confident, the fact that it's the Cougars again.
Oh, more confident.
Yeah.
It's like, LJ Martin's going to be a little bit healthier, and that's going to change the outcome of the game. No. I think, and that's no disrespect to BYU. I've just seen this game before.
Right.
And it was fluky that we didn't beat you by more points. Not that it was fluky you didn't have the game close. And once again, no disrespect to BYU. I think that's a good team. They can absolutely win the game. It's just if it's played straight up, you're going to win this game way more often than you lose it. And we'll do a full preview later in the week. But if you have David Bailey and you've got Barron healthy and you've got all your guys, like I don't know why this game's going to go differently. But who knows?
Yeah, I Go
ahead, Clayton. No, you got it.
Okay.
What have you?
I agree. I mean, seeing the game the first time, like they would genuinely have to run a completely different offense and have different personnel to drastically change what they did in Lubbock. And I know that being a neutral field does make a difference versus being away, but I just don't see how they can. Yeah, for sure. I just don't see how they can make enough changes. And to your point, Zyler, I mean, how many red zone trips did we come away with like 3 or less points that time? And I don't know.
5 field goals.
Something like that. And then the one that didn't amount to any points. So I just don't see that happening again.
Yeah, it should have been worse, Conrad.
So that's what I was going to say is this team is not going to have the same red zone woes on Saturday as they did in Lubbock for that game. I wanted to ask you guys. I, I think you won so emphatically yesterday because you're such a better team than West Virginia. But I think there was also this tinge of you don't know what the committee's going to do, like we've talked about. So you want to make sure you are as impressive as possible. Looking forward to BYU, do you think this is a situation where Joey and staff are looking at this saying, let's beat these dudes by 35? Like let's absolutely run them out of the stadium so that the committee has no choice to be like, we have to give them a top 4 seed. Like, do you think that's in their minds? Because that's definitely in my mind of like, just run these guys out of the stadium and prove to everyone again, even though there will be doubters, that this team is absolutely on a different level than every other team they've played or most that they will play this year.
I feel like the fake punt yesterday tells me where Joey's mind is at a little bit on this. Like, you could, maybe you're protecting your defense a little bit, but I thought that was let's go get a touchdown. Like, let's go get this up as much as we can. And BYU is not West Virginia. I mean, BYU is an 11-1 football team. Their strength of record is good. I know we love talking about that on the show, though I think it's stupid. But like, BYU has all the metrics you need to look and feel like an 11-win team, regardless of the conference. So I respect BYU. I do think this is a good team. I also think Texas Tech is on another level. And I think, as Joey talked about, they have another gear they haven't gotten to. So I do feel like Joey's going to want to hit that gear. I mean, what are we waiting on? If you don't got that many games left, you might as well push it now. And if you can get a 30-point win, I think it does 2 things. 1, it guarantees you a bye, and 2, it guarantees BYU will not make the playoff. There will be no discussion on that too, and I think that happens. But we've got a whole preview episode on Thursday to talk about that too, Z. But I do feel like I could see Joey running it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the conference championship game. There's no room for I don't want to say like classiness, but leave no doubt. This is not a popularity contest. You're not trying to win over favors from the opposing coaching staff. You saw Arizona State do this last year when they played Iowa State. It's not I'm going to be classy and only win by 20. Like, I'm going to win by as much as I can because it benefits me. And I don't think Kalani's a good enough coach. If they were doing the same thing to us and they ran it up on us, I would completely understand. And if we do the same to them, they're going to understand that that's how the game's played, and they'll understand that. Couple things I wanted to get to. Tanner Foster, thank you for the donation. No question. Oh, there's the question. Conrad, they're asking, are you going to be making any donations to the 2026 NIL pool for the upcoming season? Do you have any plans to make any donations to the Red Raiders?
He already donated to Arch Manning's contract next year.
No, when you guys see Brendan Sorsby commit to Texas Tech, just know that was 100% me. Maybe 99% me with a percent from Zyler. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I am planning to invest heavily. The show also invests heavily. So say you give $100 to us, the Texas Tech NIL fund will get 10% of that. So that would be $10. So we will play our part in funding the next generation of Red Raider football players.
That's a great answer, Conrad. Wanted to get some questions here. There was one I definitely wanted to get into. Who do y'all think the Ole Miss comp is in the Big 12 as far as program hierarchy goes? I thought that was an interesting one. I want to get to that one. But there was one other one. Does getting SGH back in the playoffs increase our chances to go farther? Jerry, I don't think SGH, I'm not planning on him coming back. I know the coaches are talking about that. I think that would have to be second round at minimum. And then it's like, is he even in game shape? So that's kind of where I am with that.
Justin Joyce asked a question that I really want to get to. Is it unrealistic to think that Tech could get the 2 seed if Bama beats Georgia, Ohio State beats Indiana, and Tech beats BYU by 10 plus? I don't think that Indiana or Ohio State would drop to the 3 line at all. I think the winner of that game will move to 1. The loser, if it's Indiana, will just stay at 2 or jump Ohio State to 1. But I think the 3 seed is probably your highest option. If Bama beats Georgia, I don't think Bama's going to jump all the way from 10 to 3. I think you'd move up to the 3 line. Bama would jump to the 4. That's probably the best bet, but you never know. I mean, if Indiana gets spanked by Ohio State, or if Ohio State were to get spanked by Indiana, I could see a scenario where you go and crush BYU and they move you to the 2. But I don't know. I feel like we're not going to get that much respect. So that's a great question, Justin. It'll be interesting to see what happens there too. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was a good question. Also, comment if you're going to the Big 12 championship game. That's how I'm going to assess how many Red Raiders are coming. So I need to know who's actually going to be there. Okay, so I do kind of want to transition into Lane Kiffin here if you guys are good with that. Brendan, anything you wanted to get to before we hit that?
Dude, I did want to segue to that with an overreaction or reality question, though, if I may.
Please.
The question is on the Lane Kiffin debacle. Lane Kiffin is a villain, overreaction or reality?
Reality
Easily.
Overreaction.
Why, Conrad?
He can coach wherever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. He is not a villain here. I'm not going to say he's a victim either. He's just a kind of a prisoner of the moment. Like this college football calendar is just so off, like in every way. And I get it. How do you fix it with quarters, semesters, whatever? LSU is a job that is miles better than Ole Miss. He took Ole Miss to their ceiling. That school was never going to win a national championship. They don't have the funds that LSU has. Lane Kiffin also having to basically not beg, but encourage fans to go to the games when they're in the best run in their school's history. I couldn't even imagine being a coach and having to do that at LSU. That's not a problem at all. I don't feel bad. And obviously he wanted to coach. I get why the Ole Miss administration didn't want to let him coach, but at the same time, Ole Miss, you're probably never getting back to this place. Like, no disrespect to Pete Golding, but he's not the wizard that Lane Kiffin is. Lane Kiffin's his own guy. I would have let the man coach because I've been like, this is probably my last chance, but you're not going to do that because that's what you communicate to your fans when you do that. So there's a lot of things at play. I don't think he's a villain though. I just think he's making the best decision and the decision that I would have made. So going to LSU, and I think he'll win. I think he'll win a national title at LSU, if not more. So that's
if not more.
If not more. Mr. Root says imagine Conrad if Kiffin went to UT.
The same person is at UT right now. It's Sarkisian.
No.
So actually they're not the same person.
If you hire the coach that doesn't get on the plane, make sure that you keep him away from any of his sister-in-laws. That's just all I'm going to say. You don't want what that can do to your program.
Hopefully there's not a college football event in Maui.
Yeah,
there is. Ole Miss do not go.
I've already decided I'm going to bet the Ole Miss over next year and then the Ole Miss under the year following. That's just like they're going to be way better than I expect next year and then just fall off a cliff.
Pete Golding, though, I thought it was interesting. Was this playing in preparation for them, you think? I mean, immediately naming him the permanent head coach, I thought, was that out of rash decision making, you think? Or do you feel like this was a conversation they had prior? That's one thing. It's interesting. I see some comments on Pete Golding as well, too. So just think about that. But you guys said villain. I wanted to touch on that. Why villain? Is it good that Lane Kiffin is a villain for college football?
Yeah, and I think Conrad makes some really good points. Most astutely, you can coach wherever you want for whoever you want. Nobody, you are not bound to any institution. I think the way that I always frame it is if Texas Tech was having the season that we're having, one of the best seasons in our career, and UT was having let's say a 6-6, 7-5 season, not very good, fired their head coach, and Joey accepted the job at UT and still wanted to coach the Red Raiders, there's just no way that you can say yes to that, right? I mean, that would be 100%. Like the most humbling thing you could do as an athletic department, right? Like, it would be an impossible. I just don't know why Kiffin thought he could do that. Like, did he expect Keith Carter to say, yes, we would love for you to continue coaching our team? And then Kiffin's just like whole spiel. He's a good coach, man. Like, he's done really great stuff. No denying his offensive chops. He's going to do really well at LSU. LSU's a much better job than Ole Miss. No denying that. The way that this has all been handled, like the way that he tweets out certain stuff and like plays into all of it, like having your family publicly fly out to Baton Rouge out of Oxford's private airport. Like, let's have some subtlety here. Let's have some respect for the institution that you're coaching at. And then leaving a program that's in the playoffs for a team that's not in the playoffs, it's just so weird. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird situation, and I'm not the biggest Lane Kiffin fan, but maybe I need to watch the many faces of Lane Kiffin, like Conrad's implored me to. Maybe it'll
You
be
should
worth
do
my
that.
time.
Should we do that and react to it live?
Did you see?
Tomorrow night.
Okay, I also want to quote this. Oh, where is it? The funniest part of this is somebody else's tweet, so this is somebody else's words. The funniest part of Lane Kiffin is that he said he was, quote, going to pray to the Lord for guidance. Apparently, the answer was, my son, I need you to screw Ole Miss over and try to blackmail them into letting you coach the playoff by threatening to take all your staff and players with you to LSU. Like, do you think he got that? Is that what happened? Like, I don't know. It's a funny situation. I enjoy it. I would be so mad if I was an Ole Miss fan, though. Sorry for the monologue.
Clay.
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with everything Zyler said. I genuinely cannot believe he asked to coach the playoffs. Like, that is so just exactly what Zyler has said for the past few episodes, narcissistic. Like, you are not doing that for the kids. You're not doing that for the school. You're doing that because you want the success. Like, you want to be able to take credit for that. And that's just, that is just no respect, man. Like, exactly what Zyler said. Like, you're taking another job, and then you're going to ask your boss if you can keep working there, like, in the best part of this, like, get all that credit and not let them move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want my Christmas
like
bonus, my end of year bonus. So
yes,
let me work.
That's exactly
I am going to leave.
what I was about to say. Yeah.
He was just given his 2 weeks notice, guys. Your boss won't let you work out your 2 weeks.
It'd be a 3 weeks notice. They wouldn't play till December 19th, technically. I look, I totally agree with your point, Z. Like, if Joey McGuire did that, or let's just Chris Beard. I mean, if it was during the season, like, let's say you just won the Big 12 championship, March Madness is about to happen, Texas is poaching him, and he leaves you on the tarmac to go to your rival while you're still playing for a championship. It's
insane
for the kids that busted their butt all through spring camp, all summer camp, all fall, like, to be in a meeting, be like, okay, this guy clearly doesn't care about us. He's leaving us to go to our rival. You have a chance to win a national championship game. I get LSU might be a better job. The resources, the pipeline in Louisiana over Mississippi, great. But come on, like, you're 3 games away from holding up a CFP trophy. Now, is Ole Miss going to maybe win that? No, probably not. But you've got a chance. You're going to face a group of 5 team in the first round, and then you're going to probably go play Texas Tech or Indiana. Like, I wouldn't think Ole Miss would just get crushed by them. So it really is just super unfortunate for the players, for the university. Lane has every right to do what he wants to do as a coach. He has every right to go to LSU as his own person. But, I mean, come on. You're not going to go coach these guys. Like, and I would say this. I would not want to play Ole Miss in the first round. Like, those kids and Pete Golding, they are going to be pissed. They're going to be angry. James Madison or UNT is going to have a hard time, or Virginia in Oxford. It's going to be a wild energy for them. I don't know. I don't agree with the decision.
You would have stayed at Ole Miss as opposed to going to LSU?
Here's the thing I have a hard time with, too, now in this modern college football. Ole Miss was in the top 5 in NIL spending. How much are we seriously getting, like, Louisiana kids just to stay at LSU? Like, you're going to get it, sure. But look at Texas Tech, for example, Indiana. I mean, these kids aren't in-state talent that came. Lee Hunter, these kids came from other schools, and Ole Miss did that, and they went 11-1. I just don't buy into the trend that, because it's LSU and there's more kids in Louisiana with a deeper talent pool, we're going to automatically win more. I just don't know if that's true in modern college football. I might be proven wrong.
Well, LSU definitely has more money than Ole Miss. It's not even like roster investment. Like, that's why he doesn't. If you have LSU and they're offering X amount of dollars a year for their roster, and you have Ole Miss and they're offering X amount of dollars a year for their rosters, and those numbers are the exact same, he doesn't leave. That would make no sense to do that. It had to have been an increase in player pool to go to LSU. Not only the fans, not only the stadium, not only the in-state recruiting, but he obviously believed, I can win an actual national championship at LSU versus Ole Miss. And that is fair. I don't think there's a single person who would say that LSU is not, with an actual head coach that's not Brian Kelly, could win multiple national championships. And I think he saw that and said, I want to do that. And that's exactly what I would have done. I don't know any person who would say, yeah, Ole Miss has less money, I'm going to stay at Ole Miss to be what? I mean, Ole Miss. Well,
that's fine. That's fine. But to that point, then, you can't keep him in the locker room for another 3 weeks to coach kids that he clearly doesn't care. For him to think he could do that.
Sure, but they're all going to be playing for LSU next year anyway. They're all going to be
They're
playing for
all-
LSU next year anyway.
That's why they
Trinidad
don't
Chambliss
run
will be
them.
starting at quarterback for LSU next year. That's what's going to happen, or someone better.
That's what's always so funny to me. It's like you're taking the LSU job because you perceive it as better, which I agree. But then you're just going to bring your old team over that you could just
Well,
have
you
if you
gotta-
just stayed there.
Well,
And
I was
I know
listening
it's
to an
not-
LSU podcast today for fun, and it was really fun actually. Those guys and Tiger Bay do a good job, but they were talking about how the roster at LSU is just completely depleted. Like it's done. And they even said no matter who the head coach is next year, if you had the same roster right now, they'd be a 4-8 team. And so you have to bring in guys that you know can play. And so the first year that wouldn't bother me at all, but I don't know. I don't have a problem with what he did, and I don't have a problem with how he did it either, because the calendar is what's really the victim in the situation, the villain in this situation for me.
And I've seen that point, Z. I mean, that point, that's a fair point. I've seen that around. I just, I don't know. We've never seen this before. This coaching carousel has been crazy. Kim Coulter says when Alabama opens up, Kiffin is gone again. Like
That would
you know,
be
like,
the funniest outcome. I am rooting for that.
That would be
Like,
hilarious.
imagine Kalen DeBoer goes to Penn State and Lane Kiffin just like flies to Tuscaloosa. It's just
He
Psycho.
really
Yeah,
would be
then
the new Chris Beard at that point.
I don't know how this name is, but it's Miss Yarina 0106. I think a loyal shuffler of the show, but I would love nothing more than for LSU to be horrible under Kiffin. So it seems like there's some agreement that Lane being a villain is good for the show, good for college football. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be really interesting. And we did a Tommy Tuberville thing on Twitter. Every week we release this out, so make sure you follow us on X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your social media. But we went ahead and said, Shufflers, where are you at? And Lane Kiffin, just to kind of spoil that segment a little bit, was at the top of the list. So I think a lot of Shufflers are speaking for how a lot of people feel about this decision, that Lane seems like a fraud. This is probably the definition of that in a way. You're just kind of leaving your bride at the altar, it seems like, with Lane Kiffin. Going to the prettier girl at the dance is how a lot of people have called it. So,
Yep.
Which, that's fair. If there's a lot of pretty girls at the dance, it can be tough. I get it. But like,
we've all
Lane,
had that problem, right?
we've all,
Too many
seventh
pretty
grade.
girls on the dance
Oh
floor.
man, they were all looking at me with my Bieber haircut and braces for sure. But we'll see what happens there, Conrad. But I think you're not totally wrong. Little update this week is too. I think Conrad, Andrew Baxter, my brother. I think Conrad is Emperor Palpatine. Kiffin is Darth Vader. Conrad, comment on that.
Brennan, don't give any airtime to Andrew Baxter until he donates $100,000 to the Broadway Shuffle. So,
Oh my word! What
Wow,
a high bar.
we'd appreciate that. That would be great. We could probably all be together weekly if that was the case. Well, one other thought I had too, we had John Curry. We actually, right before we came live, we talked to John Curry, and he'll be on with us this week. We'll release that separately on YouTube. And then we have our preview episode Thursday. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We would love for you to join our Shuffler community. Again, totally free. We'll be releasing that interview either Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we've got our preview episode on Thursday. And then obviously a reaction to Big 12 and where you will fall in the CFP next Saturday and Sunday as well. Going to be a huge, huge week here on the Broadway Shuffle and for Texas Tech. So, all right.
Brendan, real quick.
Yeah.
Before we move on to that, do y'all think we are a CFP lock? Like, do you think there's any world where we're not in the college football playoff?
We're a lock. I think you are a guaranteed lock.
Clayton?
Clayton's on mute.
Clayton's muted. Conrad?
unless you get sorry guys, unless you get Andrew, I will absolutely dress up as Darth Vader if you give that amount of money to the show. I just need to see the proof before I do that. No, there's no way you're not. I mean, if you lose by, let's just play out the worst case scenario, you lose by 60. I think we have some questions at that point, but that's not going to happen. That's just not a possible outcome.
If you
So
lost
yes,
by
you are a
40
lock.
and Baron Morton got hurt, you would 100% get left out. But outside
That's
of that
fair.
happening,
I mean,
think you were a
that's
lock.
not happening.
yeah,
I-
agreed.
It's the same thing. In my mind, it'll be the same thing as SMU. You're not. If you're the committee, you cannot afford to take the team that will be ranked in the top 4 going in and move them from 4 to 11, regardless of how it happens. Texas Tech would get punished for going 11-1, being judged to teams that aren't playing in a conference championship game, losing their starting quarterback in that game due to injury, just for this scenario, Clay, and then you're punishing them for having to play a 13th game and then taking just that game and saying sorry and moving them out because you don't think they could win. Like, I get it. Would Tech be the same team with Lloyd Jones starting against Oregon? Like, maybe not. But, I mean, they wouldn't be. But, like, you know, you can't do that.
Yes.
You just can't do that. Like, the system would officially be broken at that point.
Okay, so
if you're discrediting that. So I think you're a lock. You cannot move Tech from 4 to out if they get blown out and lose players to injury.
Zyler, you okay over there?
Yeah, sorry. Here's the scenario, because I agree. I feel like punishing teams for losing a conference championship game is almost unfair, where it's like a team like Oregon, team like Ole Miss, a team like OU feels like they're locked and they're not in the conference championship. Where here's where it gets tricky. A team like Alabama, who is 10th, who would be the last team in from an at-large, and if they go to Atlanta and they lose, does a team like Miami do they drop it all, or is Alabama locked in? Like, what if they get beat by 25? Are they still?
They're locked, especially with the matchup they have, because they beat the team they will play at Georgia on the road. Like, you can't tell us that this is the right system and then not reward teams for getting to an extra game that they earned their right to play in, regardless if they already have 2 losses. Like Bama's game, it should be 10-2 and then 0. Like, it shouldn't matter. Yeah. They should just go away with conference championships completely if you're going to punish teams for getting there and then kick them out. It's going to suck for Miami. It's going to suck for Vanderbilt or whoever the 2-loss teams, Utah, that'll be on the bubble and say, hey, well, Bama has 3 losses. But yeah, if Bama would have lost a tiebreaker to Ole Miss, they'd be sitting as the 10 seed at 10-2, not moving. They'd be there, with 4 great wins. So I think Texas Tech, nothing to worry about here. I think you've locked yourself in regardless of how you lose, but you're not going to lose. I just don't think you're going to lose this game.
No shot.
I feel like you're locked. I am less certain that Bama is locked, even if I agree with your argument on the merits.
You really think that ESPN is going to kick out an SEC team for making their conference championship game? Domestic terrorist Greg Sankey is not going to let that happen.
No.
If that were to happen, they would need to do it this week. Like, they would need to move Miami ahead of Bama right now, so that.
Now that's a good point. They'd have to put Bama as the bubble team, but then what about BYU? Miami's going to just jump BYU. BYU wins by 20 at home, and Miami's going to jump from 13 to 10.
So what happens if BYU wins by 3, and now all of a sudden an at-large spot is dropped and Bama loses?
You would have to. I think it. I could be wrong, but I think you losing would kick out Notre Dame, Oklahoma. That's it. Or them. It
wouldn't be OU.
Bama at 10? Bama's at 10 right now, right?
Bama's at 10.
Yeah.
Who's the 7th seed?
So if Bama let's just say everybody stays at the same spot. So let's say BYU gets in. Now there's one less at-large spot if we assume we make it in.
You're kicking Notre Dame.
So
yeah,
Notre Dame would get
booted
behind Alabama after a loss?
Yes.
So Alabama would lose a game and move up?
It doesn't make sense, but it's just going to. That's what they're going to do. Because
I agree with you.
SMU, they're going to keep this. They're going to keep the same system they did last year with SMU losing to Clemson, and then
the difference is the bubble this year is way better than last year. Last year, the teams on the bubble all had 3 losses. There wasn't like a Miami, BYU that were outside.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, that's fair, but I just don't think there's 8 teams playing. If you count a group of 5,
I think
they're not punishing those 10 teams.
They will move Bama up at least 1 spot this week to prevent that. I think they will move them to at least 9.
So they move Notre Dame to 10, but then you have to compare Notre Dame and Miami.
Yes, and so that's the conundrum that they have put themselves in.
Miami should 100% be in.
I think Miami's going to get in over Notre Dame. I think
I'm starting to think that way too. Notre Dame's odds to win it all dropped by a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
Conrad, if I had to tell you right now, the last seed getting into the playoff, not counting ACC or Group of 5 or 2 Group of 5s, is who?
What do you like? What do you between Notre Dame, Miami, Alabama?
Anybody. Yeah. Anyone who do you think gets the last at-large spot?
I'd probably stand with Clayton, say Miami, just because of that. But again, I could see, if Alabama loses, they're not dropping Alabama out. So I could see
No.
either one of those scenarios taking place. But I do feel like OU is locked at this point. Like I don't feel like you can not put in OU, even with, well, again, they did win some key games. They're not looking great on offense, but I think the last spot will probably be between Alabama and Miami. And in that case, what would happen is Notre Dame would be left out.
Carson Mazzell, who's a former Red Raider alum. Now, hold on, this gets confusing. Former Red Raider alum, good friend of ours, diehard Alabama fan. Just to put that in perspective.
Also, Auburn alum.
Also, Auburn Masters alum. This guy's confusing. This guy, don't trust this guy at all.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, I forgot. He was living with me when he was doing his Auburn Masters. I forgot about that. But he says that every Alabama fan will be a Red Raider at 11 a.m. Central this Saturday. So
Totally agree.
I think a lot of teams are sweating on this, thinking, please, Texas Tech, don't lose, so you kick us. So if you're Notre Dame, Bama, even I know Oklahoma feels safe, and they probably are a lock regardless. But if you're debating in Oklahoma and then a conference champion loser, I don't know. Like, it could get weird. I just think everyone wants to see Tech beat BYU by 3 touchdowns.
Dude, and I'm telling you, there's going to be legitimate cases this year. And I think, Clayton, you said it. The bubble this year is just so much better than it was last year. Like, Vanderbilt's had the best season in their entire program's history, went 10-2 in the SEC, and I don't think they have a snowball's chance in hell of getting in. And that team would have been a lock last year. And so it's going to be very contentious, especially with only, 2 meaningful games left? The Big 12 championship and the SEC championship. The other ones don't really matter as far as, like, who's getting in. The ACC championship matters, which would be so funny if Duke wins, because I don't think they would get in.
No. So you can't put a 5-loss team. Then you would uproar. You'd rather put 11-1 James Madison in over a 5-loss Duke. You have to.
Dude, yeah, if you left out James Madison for 5-loss Duke, who lost to 2 group of 5 teams, you're basically telling G5 to stop playing football.
Yeah.
And we probably should get to Tommy's and talk a little Baylor football, because I have some Baylor friends that are still waiting around because I told them that. So if we could move to that, I would appreciate that, but I think they would as well.
We can move to that, because we'll do a ton of preview. We'll preview the CFP as well in our Thursday episode. We'll get into scenarios for the conference championship. And hey, we appreciate this is our first time really going live, just us hanging out on YouTube. If you guys enjoyed this, want to see more, let us know. We love seeing the comments and everyone tuning in. It's been a lot of fun, so we might do this a little more often. Just be on the lookout for that too. But yeah, we can move on to Tommy Tuberville's. Conrad, I'll let you go first, because I guess you're segueing into you talking about the Baylor Bears. Your Baylor fans are sitting in this chat. So by all means, man, go ahead and roast Dave Aranda and the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, so I could not. The Baylor Bears were actually taken by another member of the Broadway Shuffle. I won't steal that individual's thunder. So I decided to come at it from a different angle, which is basically the exact same angle. It's Dave Aranda. It's not Baylor in general. That's for someone else. It's Dave Aranda. Just seeing the absolute implosion of that program, them not fight, like that's a situation where he probably, I mean, I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but if I were him, I would probably have rather been let go from that situation than to lose all your good recruits, to lose your already small fan base, and just to be in a place where no one believes at Baylor anymore in this program. Even, I don't know if you guys, if you're still here and 146 of you are still watching and you have not watched Locked On Baylor from yesterday, kick your feet up, pull your phone up, and watch that whole episode from start to finish. It is absolute cinema. This is coming from somebody who is not the biggest Baylor Bear fan for a lot of reasons, but also probably the biggest one is they've had more success in the past 15 years than we have. And, seeing a program like that just fall a little bit because of their unwillingness to really invest. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's never been easier to win in college football. Just invest. Now that's easier said than done. Yeah. Just be wealthy and invest in your college football team and you can win. But just seeing all that stuff that's happened at Baylor, losing recruits, lack of buy-in, I don't know how you recover from it. At this point, I feel like you're almost just working to work at that point. But yeah, Dave Aranda, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week. Nothing against you as a person. You're a great guy. But at the same time, man, just seeing what Baylor's become is really it's a sight to behold.
The Cam Stewart, when he reacts live to Jamarian Carlton, the top 40 kid from Texas, it was an unbelievable moment. He throws his hat. You've just got to watch it. It's such a funny meltdown. And I like Cam. We've talked before, and he's really good. But yeah, it is so funny hearing him talk about the Baylor president. Just like it's great. Anyway, sorry.
Well, it's excellent, Tommy Tuberville, Conrad, and great to see Baylor struggle as a Red Raider fan this year. It's been a lot of fun. Shufflers, though, we talked a lot about Lane Kiffin. Shufflers was overwhelmingly on X, Lane Kiffin, so no surprise there after this week.
Yeah. My Tommy this week is going to be SMU football. They had a chance to go probably back-to-back CFP playoff appearances. All they had to do was beat a Cal team that just fired Justin Wilcox as their head coach. They proceeded to spot Cal a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter to furiously come back, not take a timeout when Cal gets the ball down to the 5-yard line with a minute and a half left. Cal milks the clock, scores with 30 seconds left. SMU loses, and now Duke enters into the playoff discussion, now opening the scenario where the ACC will likely get left out of the CFP if Duke wins. SMU is not getting any money from the ACC, and they may now actually cost the ACC money by being in the conference. And that is the funniest scenario that I could possibly imagine for rivalry week. So shout out to SMU. Glad you guys extended Rhett. Looks like things are going well there in Dallas. So,
all right, Clay, that leaves you.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do Baylor too because I originally, well, I'll go ahead and say it. Mine is Jalen Daniels. I originally picked Jalen Daniels, and then I saw the clips of him on the sideline where he was just so sad, and I actually felt kind of bad. So I was going to flip to Baylor, but then Conrad took that. So I'll stick with Jalen Daniels. They played Utah this weekend. They rushed for 290 yards, but they did not win the game because Jalen Daniels had two of the worst red zone picks I've ever seen. One of them returned for a touchdown and a third pick in the game. I've never seen one player like single-handedly cost a team the game that bad, probably all season. So even though I do feel bad about, piling on, kicking the dead horse or whatever, but Jalen Daniels, you are my Tommy Tuberville of the week.
A fitting way for his career to end at Kansas there, man, throwing picks like that too. Man, so if you've been following us for a while now, I've been on a trend of just promoting fired head coaches into my Tommy Tubervilles of the week because I've had one every single week, which has been fantastic. This week, though, it's kind of a dual Big Ten. Northwestern fired a guy named Pat Fitzgerald a couple of years ago for something that he had no idea about. He had built Northwestern to a very respectable program, and they let him go. And then Michigan State fired Jonathan Smith this week, former Oregon State head coach. And so I've got two. It's Northwestern football for now having to deal with Pat Fitzgerald, who will build up Michigan State. It'll feel like the Mike D'Antonio years. And also Michigan State for firing Jonathan Smith because I've been able to do that 5 straight weeks. So Michigan State / for firing, or Jonathan Smith / Northwestern is my Tommy Tuberville of the week. There's been a lot of great Tommies going on in the chat as well too. CBS Sports from Jeremy Ledbetter trying to shade Texas Tech football for going forward on 4th and 2 with our backups. I don't know. I didn't see that, but
I didn't see that.
That's really funny. And then
the punt.
The punt.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So man, ton of fun. A lot of great Tommies this week as well too, and there'll be plenty more next week as well. But what a crazy weekend for college football, man. This is one of the wildest. So let's make this sport the best sport in the world, dude. I mean, the Lane Kiffin stuff, the college football debate, which only can happen in a sport like college football. It's a ton of fun, man. So we hope all of you guys enjoyed this live show. It's a lot of fun getting to hear from y'all, the Shufflers. I see True in the comments.
Yeah, we got one more. We got to get through some of the comments and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I see Jet in there too. Some big fans. ESPN over and over again is a Tommy as well too for getting BYU on the bubble. That I did notice.
That is crazy.
BYU
that is
completely nuts. Out of their resume potential bubble teams. No surprise there, Conrad, though, that the SEC is getting pumped up over the Big 12, right?
Yeah, and that's another episode, but we'll leave that for another day.
I can't wait for that title. Like Conrad defends the SEC against Big 12. It's going to be a great thumbnail.
Conrad
be a good
defends
one.
Hitler.
That will never that will never happen. Are you calling the SEC Hitler?
I'm not gonna do that.
Yes, I am. I'm calling Greg Sankey Hitler.
Greg, thank you. He's enemy number one of the Broadway Shuffle. He has been for a long
Yes,
time.
enemy
Well,
number one.
man,
One final thing, Brennan. I know we'll wrap up. West Virginia fan commented, do y'all think Lane Kiffin will succeed at the premier level? He's failed at USC. Rich Rod left for Michigan and then failed. People like him and grinders and developers. Is LSU too big of a job for Lane Kiffin?
I don't think so. Not in this era.
Did
of
we
college
either?
Did we want to forget about the situation that USC was in when he got there and all the stuff that happened with the scholarships and stuff like that? Nick Saban would have failed at that USC.
That's fair.
Maybe.
That is very fair.
Yes. Yes, he would have, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The
that's
LSU will
good
win a
question,
national
though.
championship in the next 5 years. You heard it here first.
I
All
would
right.
actually take that bet. I would agree. I would be on that train.
I would too, actually. I think that's a good statement. That's fair.
Yeah, thank
One of the
you
funniest
guys
things-
for.
Yeah, it's a good take. Lane
It's a great take.
getting really upset at a Ole Miss reporter calling him a hoe, which is really funny on its face. He is in for a world of hurt. The first game he loses as an LSU coach is going to be like a nuclear bomb got dropped on his family. Like those people are insane fans. They are like nothing else in CFP. Nothing
Yeah.
else.
Makes the sport great, man. Makes it great. Well, we'll be back. We'll have John Curry on the show. That episode will be out Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we'll be back on Thursday to preview the Big 12 championship, Texas Tech versus BYU. We appreciate everybody for being in the public chat on YouTube. Again, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with friends. But we will see you guys this weekend in Arlington. Everyone have a great week. And thanks for tuning in to the Broadway Shuffle. We'll see y'all next time.
He makes the catch. He's going all